This is a regular meeting of Mills County Commissioners Court. All members of the court are here physically present. We have a quorum. We will proceed. If you would join me in standing for the pledge and an opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Williams, would you lead us in prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, bless this day that you have granted us. Be with us as we do the business of Mills County. Thank you for the rain that you have bestowed upon our land, and guide us and direct us in all your actions, Father. Thank you for this day. Amen.
Amen. Item 2 on the agenda is the review and action on the minutes of our prior meeting, July 26th. I've read them. Assume the rest of the court has any comments, corrections, or amendments.
On page 2, Jerry, we need to add Bill Farden's name to the vote. Judge Smith second. Vote carried 3-2. The Bill Farden's not on anymore. For Commissioner Ryan,
Let me find it. The last item on number 9.
number 11, item 11. 11, item 11.
Okay. So you want to list the people that voted for it?
Yes, so the Dale's not, he voted with it, I believe that's correct.
That is correct.
But we don't have his name.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you can get there by inference, but there's no harm in listing it. Any other corrections?
Because one of the corrections, I believe we approved, Judge.
Approve them as amended. Okay, we have a motion to approve as amended. Is there and a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved as amended. Item 3 on the agenda is audience with individuals. Mr. Kirk Folk has signed up to address the court regarding the budget and the sheriff's salary. Mr. Folk.
Thank you, Drew. I would normally have waited.
Well, let's see if we can get you a microphone. Can you open that for me, please?
Figure out put your back. Just an on off. Hold it up close.
I would have normally waited until this item on the agenda, but I've got a Zoom hearing at 10. I may have to leave a little bit early. I've submitted for the court's consideration today request for an appeal of the sheriff grievance hearing, salary grievance hearing. Each of you have a letter to that effect. We just like to request a hearing in front of the full committee, and that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 4, consider an act on accounts payable. These were distributed electronically Friday.
Yeah. So I had one right off the bat, but Summer's kind of already answered it for us. But if you go down to the, what page is that, Dale? It's page 10, and it's under court fund. Kind of the comment of it just makes you question. There's a lazy boy chair there. I was like, who's getting a lazy boy in their office? And so, but it's the judge. The
new judge wanted a new chair in there. It's not going to be a lazy boy, but that's probably where he bought it.
It makes it stand out when you see a lazy boy in the courtroom. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, Thought maybe James is getting a new seat up there, James.
The only other one that I had was Blackman's Body Shop on the sheriff's office in Wisconsin. They said that was an insurance bill that on vehicles. On page 8.
Yeah. Second.
I saw the bill come in Friday. I don't know anything about the background. There's some cleanup on the first page. I'll go over later with the treasurer. It's just getting things allocated, like the county judge getting charged for precinct 1 water, or the district clerk getting charged for JP supplies. The expenses are appropriate. They're just probably in the wrong bucket.
Okay, the only other one I want to ask about is on page 8. Sheriff expense. Under card services. They bought a plaque for Tina and Pam, paid for it out of county funds. We couldn't do that here for Trina and stuff. Can we do that there?
No, I don't believe we do that, but this, I thought about that when I was looking at this report.
We had to buy Trina's and all theirs out of personal funds.
Right. There are some slush fund, that's the wrong, what's a non-technical term, but some special use funds that are not county revenue out there.
Okay.
Let me ask the treasurer if you know where this money's going to get charged. Okay.
I'm not sure that this is not okay to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it as long as it goes to a fund that's not a general fund account. I think
Can't
it's
come out of the general fund.
right.
Yeah, because we
Yeah.
tried to do the same thing with the Judge Judge Ellis when he was.
Oh, that's right. We did a collection on that. Yeah, I saw something on here about a FBI school meeting, but it's fodder for other discussion. Okay.
You want to exclude that?
Yes, ma'am.
Jason, I'll check into that with my call.
Well, that's fine. I mean, we tried to do the judges thing, Judge Ellis, and I got caught on that one, so.
I appreciate you doing that.
And yeah, I don't know nothing. But I think the insurance one that Dale's talking about, we just did Summer, didn't we just do a line item or a budget amendment like to Commissioner's Court back for insurance versus proceeds? That might be under that.
And they still be plugging in.
Yeah, so
How many cards do you have?
Check for mine,
so there's 2 more. So that may be it, Dale, but we can check in on that, make sure that's correct.
I just figured something out of amount and then the insurance now. We're gonna take that out of accounts payable, or are you asking?
Well, I mean, we still have to pay the bill, but then it's where you charge it, and it sounds like we're going to have a special budget amendment to show unbudgeted insurance proceeds collected, and but to offset the
We did already.
budgeted payers.
Make a motion to approve accounts payable.
I'll second the motion. We have a motion to approve accounts payable. A second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Number 5 is annual funding, approval of the funding commitment for Hill Country Community Action. We see this every year as part of their matching funds application. They want a resolution committing a contribution from the county. The contribution, I mean, it's budgeted every year. It's 400 and can't read it. $442. This is really formalized documentation of that for their grant approval. Commissioner Williams is on the board. Is there anything you would like to expand on that?
No, they've made comments, they would sure like all the area to give even more than that, instead of just giving the minimum $422. But that's just because of funding for senior centers have gone down so much. They've gone other directions, but this is all they're asking for, and this is all we're asking for, so.
Is Mills County the only one that shows a plus in the mills?
Well, yes and no. There's some things that during COVID, it really messed things up. So, and I don't know how to be polite, but the generation thing, some of the newer people, Mike, that are coming to it, they don't always give the recommended donation. Where your old school people like Minnie Graves and other people that come, they always gave a donation. So
Well, many have been there about 3 years.
yeah, but I'm just saying that age of people are gone, and so
I know every time I've been, your country, they've always talked about our center. Then
yeah. And so when you put if our kids were to go eat there, they definitely wouldn't drop anything, So it's just a different generation, different mindset.
It's got, I think it's got more regular use. I mean, we do stand out in the statistics of their program about usage and contribution and support.
We are, Mills County is still the poster child. Let's put it that way.
So is there a motion?
make a motion, we approve the $442.
I second it.
Made and seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, consider an act on Mills Central Appraisal District 2022 budget. This is a rerun, hopefully without all the details of last week. As we just noted in the minutes, we approved a resolution last week objecting to the budget. There was some after the fact issues raised because the agenda described the budget based on the county fiscal year, based on instead of the appraisal district calendar year. So just as belt and suspenders, we have publicly posted it as their 2022 budget. Other than that, the facts are all the same, and I would move, again, we disapprove it.
Also,
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, all in favor of the disapproval, say aye. Aye. We have 3 ayes, all opposed, say nay.
Nay.
2 nays, but so that would be Smith, Parton, and Guerin voting in favor of the disapproval, and Commissioners Williams and Wright voting against the disapproval. Okay, I just put this on the agenda because we're getting into August and we need to start thinking about it. Usually, it's whether or not to take action on an outdoor burn ban. It sure doesn't look like it today or yesterday. Does anybody have any feedback one way or the other on this?
I'd like to see it without going. If you got one more.
Yeah. Okay, then you,
I didn't get it either way.
okay.
So
We'll take no action. I'm going to continue this on the weekly agenda. At some point, we may dry out, and so it's going to be there to act on. Okay, number 8 is discussion of the proposed budget. See if Jackie and I can administer this. I've put together a high-level overview. We're going to try and project on the wall. And what you have in your packet, let me just start with that. We as required, a proposed budget was filed with the county clerk's office publicly. It's also on the county website. It was filed Friday. It's in your package also. There's a cover page with some required language and a proposed tax rate. There is the elected official salary increase schedule that was published in the Eagle last week. There's the required schedule of indebtedness, which it only consists of one item at this point, and that's the remainder on the voter-approved jail bonds. And then there is a funds report. Charles Miles will bring this up to date and project it through year end before we get down to the final, but this shows county fund balances by fund as of June 30. So we'll see a July 31 probably at our next meeting. And as I get into this, you'll see why this is important. It also takes a little bit of math because the true fund balance is the first box, which is basically the checking account balance, and the lower box, which is the investment and CD balance. So categories like, say, general fund or road and bridge can have money in both boxes, and the amount of money that's available is, in fact, there. Jackie, if you would back up to the first slide, please. And then past that, there's the usual table from Charles Miles on receipts and disbursements by fund. And at some point, it may be after that, is the 37 or 39 glorious pages of line item detail. But let me just start with a high level and be clear. This is the budget for the period October 1st through September 30th of 2022, October 1st of this year. Okay, let's change slides, Jackie. Some of the high level parts of the budget, the property tax revenue in the budget is held at current levels. So in the old days, the lingo was this is a effective tax rate budget. So we're budgeting the same tax revenue as last year with adjustments for new properties. The net result of this is the tax rate on a preliminary basis goes down by about 2 cents. From my view, and you'll see in the numbers, the focus of this budget is on county infrastructure. The staffing levels remain unchanged. Now, the reason we talked about fund balances is the numbers require some explanation. We are spending both grant money, including grant money we got in the current year, and using some reserves. And on a cash basis budgeting, this requires a deficit, and you need to understand what's behind the numbers. So on the bottom part of this slide, it shows you last year, this year estimated, and next year proposed. And the thing that could jump out at you, it's on the bottom of Charles Miles, it's one of his schedules, is that negative $1,073,000. So let's change the slide, Jackie. It's a little hard to read, but okay, here are the pieces of that we're not burning down the general fund by $1 million. We have received this year half of the American Rescue Act grant, at 470,000-ish. We'll receive in the coming fiscal year the second half of that, 470-some-odd-thousand. And next year we are budgeting to spend all of it. So in next year's budget, we're spending, as you're required to spend the grant money, the $970 whatever it is $1,000. Can't read that.
907.
907. But we're only taking in an next year's budget for something. So 474. So that is that's about 40% of the deficit, just in the way the funding is spaced out. I mentioned, I call this an infrastructure focused budget. There's another 400,000 that's planned to be spent from the balances in the road and bridge account. We're going to take that money and put it in roads and bridges. Well, when you do that, you're pulling that you're spending more than you're taking in road and bridge by $400,000. So there's another $400,000. So right there you have almost 900,000 of that 1,070,000 in deficit. There's some other odds and ends. The one I wanted to point out is courthouse security reserves. That's a special account. It's got close to $40,000 in it. We're proposing to spend 34,000 of it. The camera systems in the courthouse are the primary thing that needs to be fixed. So you put all those things together, and that's drawing down $907,000 of fund balances of that 1,070,000 deficit. So what's really happening is the general fund drawdown, if you will, a preliminary budget, estimated balances, lots of caveats, is 166,000, not the 1,073,000. Now change this slide, Jackie. So what are we doing with that $166,000? It's not going to operating expenses per se. It's going to fixed assets, primarily equipment. The big pieces that are listed from the budget, and we'll come back to road bridge later, is a maintainer in precinct 4 and a prisoner transport van in the jail. Those things together come to $395,000. The reserves are funding just over 40% of that. The rest of it's coming from current year revenue. So of the general fund balance at 630 of about 3.3 million, that drawdown of the general fund is about 5%, which I tell you is not material. And it's also very replaceable because you see the pilot payments. This is just the Pretty Wind Farm. We're not talking about Bluebonnet. It's $750,000 a year for 10 years. And the first payment will be January 23, which is the following budget year. So right there is where we can rebuild the general fund if we choose to. Next. I've talked about infrastructure, and I've talked about road and bridge. Here's a highlight. We've taken a lot of the equipment that, not a lot, but not all, that the precincts wanted and put it in road and bridge for shared use. It's about $100,000. Also, and nobody asked for this, there's materials of $100,000 and road improvements. That's stuff other than materials. In the recent past, we've done a lot of concrete low water crossings. It's anything other than materials that would be used to improve our road system. So there is a total of $300,000 going into improving the road system in the county. Plus, we budgeted in road and bridge an overtime budget that will be cash overtime, not comp time, for road hands. And that's so that, I mean, to fix the roads, you got to have equipment, you got to have material, and you got to have labor. And so that's the labor component of it. Now, there's some work to be done here. And the court would need to create a structure for guidelines on how you spend money out of road and use stuff out of road and bridge. We can deal with that part of the budget process or separately, but my proposal would be just to leave it to anything that 3 out of the 4 commissioners agreed to for the use of this would be appropriate. We just need to document it as we go. Let's go on to the next one. High-level payroll. Elected officials, there's no salary changes for the 3 most highly paid. Everybody else, other elected officials, there's a schedule of increases ranges from $400 to $1,100 per year. The notices have been given. We've heard the sheriff's grievance. We've heard more about the sheriff's grievance. So that's still in play apparently. And the salaries were published in the Eagle last week. Moving past elected officials, there's no overall change in the county staffing levels. There are adjustments in the top pay ranges for most positions. There is a shift differential for day shift, night shift, dispatch jail functions, and the budgeting for paid overtime, paid cash overtime for road agents. Let's change slides. Other stuff, the community organizations that the county contributes funding to are restored to pre-COVID levels. You recall we asked everybody to take a cut last year. This is giving back the cut, so it really takes them back to their 2019 levels. The budget does have contingencies in it. There's two that I've identified. There's a specific $21,000 in non-departmental. There's also, as discussed last year, we're budgeting the judge's salary. I'm not taking it. So there is unused money there while I'm judge that's also available for other purposes. Now, so that's a contingency. What could come up? Here's some things that are on my radar but are not budgetable at this time. One of them is courthouse repairs, primarily doors, locks, and the undetermined uninsured damage repair. That's still a jump ball. There's our information technology infrastructure. We've talked about changing out the phone systems and or use of IT consultants. No numbers to budget. It may or may not be something we do, but it's going to continue to be pursued. And then there's the issue of Christmas lights. And let's not get into that today. That's a whole series of meetings usually.
Never goes away.
I know. So we'll go on to the next slide. Let me tell you what's not in the budget. Restoration work on the 1888 jail. And the other thing that's not in the budget is changes in the EMS dispatching system. That just came up too late and we don't have to get in and we don't really know where we're going on that or if we're going. So if changes are required, my recommendation would be we just fund them with line item transfers from law enforcement because that's where the work is now. And one estimate that I've been given verbally is that it could require up to 5 or 6 FTE to build a freestanding dispatch center. So, but that's not in the budget. I just want everybody to know this is in the budget. So where do we go from here? Let's go on, Jackie. There's a lot of work to do. We have our commissioners court meetings scheduled every Monday in August. I suggest we take this in bites. Doesn't matter about the order, but the logical bites are to deal with the precincts and the roads, the law enforcement and the jail, and then the courthouse department and courts. And if we want to get into the community organizations, we put those in the back. We can call more frequent special meetings if we need to. We do have to hold a public hearing before we can vote on the budget and the tax rate. The public hearing requires advance published notice in the newspaper. They can't be more than 30 days or less than 10 days before the hearing. So just to, and you can't vote on the budget or the hearing or the rates until after the hearing, but you could have the hearing in a way that you can have your meeting and vote immediately after that. So just to get a marker out, I'm planning on publishing a notice in this week's Eagle and set a hearing date for the 23rd. That's 3 weeks out. The significance of that not being 4 weeks out is that means we can have the hearing, and if we need another week to work on things before we're ready to vote, we've got it. So, let's see. Thank you for putting this slide, Jackie. That's my takeaway of the budget. You've got all the details. We can start talking about it now, or we can, what I propose is we talk scheduling and how we break this up and fit it into a series of focused meetings. But so I will abandon the floor and turn it over to the court. Input from commissioners.
First is what house might do. I mean, I know we can't schedule it around you, but is there anything that you have any concerns that you might want to voice your opinion? Because we don't know what what your future is. I mean, on the surgery and stuff and how long it'll be out.
Don't kill them off yet.
Yeah, I just meant what the surgery was.
I go tomorrow to find out when they're gonna schedule the surgery,
Okay,
and I don't know anything past that yet.
okay. Well, I just want to make sure you have a voice.
I can't have the stress, and they've already told me that,
Okay,
and
you're in the wrong
I'm
job.
gonna be real nice about the budget. I'm just gonna vote no. So I can tell you that now. One reason for it is in precinct 1 on my equipment. I tried to explain to the court, and I wanted to go on record that I'm trying to buy a trailer. I cannot pull my equipment with the trailer I have now because it will not hold the weight limit of the equipment, the track load and my dozer. And since the court mandated that our employees have Class A license, they've already informed me that they don't feel safe pulling that trailer. And it's been taken out of my budget.
It's in road and bridge. If we're going to do it as a shared piece of equipment.
Okay, how about the vehicle? The vehicle is the same way. I've been putting it off, trying to have it fixed. The ABDS system's out of it. The window unit's out of it. The change motor oil signs on it's out of it. It's several $1,000s, and it's got about 130,000 miles on it. Instead of spending several $1,000s on it, I felt like it'd be a good time to trade it off instead of spending that money and still have an old vehicle. And I'll fix it. I don't have a problem fixing it. I'm in the red right now on my repairs and supplies over $1,000. I'll transfer some money around to try to cover that cost on them. But I don't know if I have any money in the budget to repair it. That's my concern, Jason.
So it's just your precinct you're voting no on, is what you're telling me? Are you voting no on anything else in the budget?
When it comes time, I'll vote for the total budget. Right now, in my precinct, I'm not concerned, but I am very concerned with what's been cut out of mine. Each precinct has been put in $15,000 in their budget. Precinct 1 is 0. So I don't understand that either.
Let me talk about the trucks. I think it'd be a wise thing for the county to try and avoid truck purchases based on the pricing and availability right now. I think hopefully it's a temporary thing, but I mean, I'm hearing they're getting a sticker plus on trucks. And so even though it might, in our ordinary world, make, not, you hate to spend the money to fix, I think the truck market might look a lot better next year, but that's.
Well, I was planning on putting a service truck for next year because it's, well, I know probably Dale's the same way in his precinct. His service truck is probably well.
Well, let me just say, we're not voting on stuff now. I had to come up with a preliminary. My suggestion, I don't know your schedule, is let's set the discussion on the precincts next Monday and I'll lay them out all next to each other and let us go through them.
Sure. I'm
Assuming-
glad to see that you gave us a copy of the budget, so we can look at it, and I appreciate
This is my third one, so,
it. This is my first.
yeah, but all you had to do was ask for it.
I did.
Somebody sent it to
Same
me.
time you asked for it.
Yeah, I
Somebody sent
thought
it to me,
yeah. I
The
thought
same
we
time
had
Jason
one
asked for it, I asked for it.
you know,
And we
couple
were
of weeks
talking back
ago.
and forth and didn't hear it.
yeah, it was,
But I did ask
it's
for it.
changed. Yeah.
Well, we were on Zoom, Dale and I, maybe
Okay.
on Zoom, and couldn't hear anything, a lot of, y'all probably
Well,
heard me.
Everybody's got it. This isn't the budget. This is the preliminary budget. The statute requires the judge file one. Here it is. Now we work from this and we got, let's try and come up with something useful.
When you ask my concerns.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I meant as an overview of the whole budget, I didn't mean just your precinct, but okay, gotcha.
Well, shall we just schedule, I mean, I'll lay out all the comparisons and we'll just do precincts and road and bridge next meeting.
Y'all schedule however you need to, Judge. I have no problem. with it.
And I hope-
If I'm here, I'm here. If I'm not, I'm not. That's all I
Okay.
can say.
Okay.
I don't
Well,
know.
we understand where you're coming from.
Thank
Can I ask a question maybe Summer can answer? On the special use fund for the sheriff's office, is that got the commissary in it too? Commissary funds?
They have their own checkbook, they have control over that. I have no say on how they use that.
So so it's not county money?
It's their department, as far as I understand. You can, I mean, it's just the in and out type of.
What do we do with department money that we make on each individual? How's that placed in the general fund or back in our budget?
Well, like if you do equipment hire,
Correct.
that shows
Machine
on,
hire.
on your machine hire, that shows on your budget is revenue and it's in there, but it goes in the general fund. There's a couple of exceptions that the court created, one of them, I think, on the special use fund in the sheriff's department where they the money they get for serving civil papers goes in that fund. But in general, revenue ends up in the general fund.
I just know we, as precincts, we don't do as much as they used to.
Yeah.
But I know last year, I believe, I had several $1,000 because I helped out Blackburn on some of the drug problems.
Well, I was looking at the fund balances and it looks like each precinct's got, $20,000 to $35,000 in a precinct fund.
Can we use that anytime we need it?
Go
I'm gonna have to use some of my repair.
going away plaques. Yeah.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gearing, anything you'd like to add?
On the budget?
Yeah.
I looked over it, it looks pretty good to me. I like when we get down to it, do some rendering and everything, we come up with a real good budget.
Yeah, with all the line items on 39 pages, I'll guarantee you we'll find something that's overlooked or is a typo, so it's sure worth discussion. Commissioner Parkman?
I'm completely new at this, Dale, so I'm learning.
Commissioner Williams, anything else you'd like to
No, I
at
think
this
it's
point?
great that we're gonna schedule these next, these other meetings to just
Okay.
discuss this. And so are we wanting to try to tag team two of them on one day or how you gonna do that since you got the public hearing you're gonna do on the 23rd?
Well, we could try and do two of them next time, say maybe the precincts and the courthouse. Would that make sense? I think the law enforcement section is the bigger component and probably needs its own session. Or we could call a special meeting, depending on everybody's schedule, and get together on a Tuesday or a Friday or some other day.
You had it scheduled now. like
Every
Jason
Monday.
said,
Yeah.
Every Monday
For the month.
month. Yes, that's correct. And if anybody feels like we need more, like I say, I'm going to say it, but what, just play it here, but my week, Judge.
Let me lay out the precincts, and if it look, what I'll do is I'll add some other stuff on there. If we don't get to it, we'll know how much we can do and not do, and then we'll call meetings as necessary. But and I will get the precinct material out, the summaries and the comparisons out to everybody this week, and that'll be Monday's agenda.
Jed brought up a while ago and telling me that our brush cutter that we share, it's wore out and he had a lot of problems with it. The main cylinder broke on the thing and he's got it fixed, but that's going to continue to be repairs for us every month.
Right.
Well, Mike, we have a brand new one and it's in the repair shop, so.
But not like Jed and I take care of this one. We have for the last 20 years.
Well, we have to too. Ours is they call it a fan clutch that went out, and it's 1 month or 2 months out of warranty. And
That's what it usually works.
that's the way it works. So,
I really think, guys, y'all got to do it. I don't think I want another food trip.
just a shredder.
No. If you go up there around Mount Olive, they're clearing the right of way, they're clearing the right of way, so you use a skid steer with a new brush hog attachment on it, mulches material.
Yeah,
And I think that'd be cheaper and
Yeah.
a better way to go.
well, you better price them,
So,
price those skid steers right now.
but
Yeah.
still, I mean, I think that'd be, because you can clear a whole lot more with it, you, mulch whatever, cut off or whatever. And I think it'd be a whole lot cheaper than cutting pick a boom shredder. Also, you can use for something else besides just shred trees with. That boom shredder, it's limited to what you use it for.
Well, there's $100,000 just in the road and bridge on equipment, and that
We
looks
spent
over.
it already.
That's, yeah, I mean, in that, I know the whole trailer, water truck, I forget what it's
Yeah, that's
called,
fine.
a steamroller and stuff made sense. If we need more, we'll identify a list and figure out what it's gonna cost.
That's a good point that you talked about is, I'm on one that has a water truck.
Yeah.
I got one.
Oh, did you? Good deal. I'm glad you did, because that's been a problem for all of us, trying to share it and use it. Just can't hardly do it.
Okay, well, then I'll add something, I'll have road and bridge, precincts, and either some courthouse departments or community organizations or something else next Monday, and we'll get it out this week. But as we talk about equipment, it would help to have numbers. So if we're talking about a skid steer or a pickup truck or something, to have at least close ballpark on what it's going to cost. Commissioners' requests and reports.
We've been busy with the road work, it's all I have been.
Oh, we've been busy with road work. I've had one guy exit for 3 days. One of my hands, one of Jason's hands for CDL school, and they both got their CDL license. That was a blessing. On request, I visited Dale about a little bit the other day. Each one of us was supposed to pick out two individuals to go over the subdivision regulations. I would like to see us talk to those people. I'll talk to mine, you talk to yours, get what their ideas of what they've got come up with. And then we can compile all that, and then we can go over it when the time comes. And have it, we will have to have a special meeting for that committee, which there'll be possible to get 8 people in the same building at the same time. I think they'll be just as well off to get their ideas and think through them and come up with a good plan.
That sounds good. Jed, I don't want to speak for the individuals. I want them to speak. I want them to, because I think the judge is going to be the chairperson of that that committee, my understanding, is it not?
Well, I mean, I could be. The reason nothing
It was
has
never said.
happened is the budget. I mean,
Yeah.
takes up the time now and it's got a deadline, so we got to do this. The trouble with just having people go out and meet without some of us being involved is the background is so complicated. Both they have to understand the current rule, the current practice, which is different from the rule, and what the laws do and don't permit. And the time you teach everybody that, you've spent months. So I kind of like Jed's idea of at least we can get the big picture concepts on the table. We can then, if we want to have somebody come in to talk to us about it, we sure can do
It would be a way to speed things up.
Well, the reason I say that is with my schedule, I don't know if I can meet with them. I tried to do mine several months ahead of time, and I gave those names to
You
them
did?
a couple of months ago.
Well, you probably wouldn't have to meet with them. Just ask. What did you come up with?
it. Well, if you end up long run hospitalized, or just out of commission, I'll meet with them.
Okay.
And try
I'd
and
rather
do it.
prefer that.
Okay.
That way that,
Yeah.
you can respond better than I can.
But I can't, I don't have time to do 8 people.
Jason asked that question when we first talked about this issue too. I thought you were going to be the chairperson of the committee.
I don't remember us saying that he was gonna be the chairperson, but.
Okay, yeah, I'm not volunteering.
I made the joke that Gerald was gonna be the chairperson, but Gerald said, well, I guess if you want me to, but that was a joke between the both of us. It was not a definite, yeah. I don't know, but
We gathered this information then in that situation. Who do we give it to them?
Yeah.
If we're not, any of us gonna be don't want to volunteer or be on this.
what if they gave us a written recommendation?
Yeah,
A written deal, just give me a piece of paper.
I mean, what we could do is just have it all turned into Jackie and she compiles it. And then we circulate it to everybody on the board.
Tell them like Gerald, well, hell, look at it.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff, even though they bring, sorry. Let Gerald look at it, cause some of the stuff that they may want wrote down may not be legal.
We're in an area of reports from the commissioners, the subdivision issues are not on the agenda. I really don't think we need to be discussed.
Okay. We will, Jed's request is noted and we'll list it on the agenda for next time. And if everybody just give it some thought. Anything else, Commissioner Geary? Commissioner Parton?
Working on some roads, working on maintainer, trying to get a transmission working in. Fixing to move some equipment back to Mullen area and get started down there. I guess not request, but, the Indian Springs deal did have their land sale on Mills County side this weekend. They were up at school, but they were required to stay outside.
Did you buy a lot?
Nope. They're too expensive. So that's about all I got. Trying to get equipment going.
Commissioner Williams?
We're just doing some road work and, we, did a little bit of cleanup around the area of the Evans Schoolhouse. They're gonna have a big fundraiser this next weekend, the 7th. So we just went out there and mowed and cleaned up a little bit. I did a lot of it after hours, my own personal stuff. So let that know. Also to inform the court that I've got a jury summoned for the 9th. So I don't know if that'll go through or not, but I was just gonna inform the court that I may be in 2 places at the same time. So.
Actually not, because the jury summons is gonna be at the Methodist Church.
Oh, that's right. So I guess I could Zoom from the Methodist Church.
Yeah.
One of the offices. Just run back and forth. And that's it.
Okay. COVID's getting more active again in Mills County. Friday and Saturday got total reported 6 new cases in the county. That's 15 total active cases. A month ago, we had 2. So it is picking up. On the political front, on the 29th, Abbott issued a new executive order, and it's on our website. But it basically is Executive Order 38. It says that no governmental agency can compel an individual to receive a COVID vaccine that's not approved by the FDA, and I'm paraphrasing here, or implement a policy to require documentation of vaccination, or implement any operating restrictions or mask requirements. And then there's a fine on any local official that violates the provisions. So there's that. And now on the other side of it, the Texas Supreme Court continues with its COVID protection requirements, which limit seating in courtrooms and has mask requirements, and is driving off-site space during selection with pre-screening for this date that Commissioner Williams mentioned. This is going to be extremely confusing for our citizens. I think the short answer is there's 2 branches of government, and they can each go their own separate mean. The governor's orders are not binding on the Supreme Court and vice versa. But this may get a lot of press and play out. And so we're in that tug of war right now. We have an ongoing dispute between Clark Roofing and our insurance adjuster. Now they've agreed on the scope of work, which we saw last week. But the adjuster believes the cost of the material is too high. So we did not enter the work order, because the discussion when we approved the scope of work was that we were not to execute it until we knew we had insurance coverage. And at this point, there's meetings to be scheduled between the adjuster and Clark Roofing to try and resolve the issue. And it's aggravated by the materials pricing increases, which are occurring during the delay. So that's still going on. The clerk's office, I want to mention that the clerk is in elections training for a couple of days. We have an election coming up in November, a general election. I believe it's in Mills County. It will be limited to some constitutional matters at the state level, but will still require some action on orders coming from Commissioner's Court late in the month of August, designated polling places, election judges, and the like. But we also now have an employee out in the clerk's office, which leaves us down to with one person, Miss Knoll, who's here. So, and she has to be in court several days this week. So there will be some times where the clerk's office will be shut and the phones will not be answered, and there'll be a sign on the door. We're going to try and help with the coverage, but there's nobody else that can really issue a marriage license or go look up a deed for somebody. So just wanted everybody to be aware of what's going on. And that's all I've got. I'll get an agenda out for next Monday, and it'll get in the paper. It'll go out today and be in the paper Wednesday.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second, all in favor?